Today we check out a cool new mixer from Xvive that could be the answer to all of your live monitoring woes. Good monitoring is where performance lives or dies in my mind. The better you can hear yourself and what's going on around you, the better you play, the more you can be in sync with the room and the vibe and the audience and be present. It just makes such a world of difference. So much so that I've spent hundreds of hours and thousands of dollars investing into racks upon racks of equipment so all of my bands can hear what we're doing and play at the best of our ability, or at least eliminate that as being one of the factors that hampers our performance. But what if you don't have thousands of dollars to invest in a custom-made in-ear monitoring rack? What if you just want to be able to hear your backing tracks or your vocal mic or your click track, or just, be able to run your in-ears and have a little bit more tactile control over the balance on stage and put a little bit less trust and reliance on that sound guy who's probably more interested in having a beer at the bar than whether you guys sound great on stage? Enter the Xvive PX, a small form factor, portable, 3-channel personal mixer with some pretty cool little features. The idea behind this device is that you can take 3 independent channels routed via one Cat5 cable, so it's nice and neat, to this little body pack. It sits on your belt and you've got tactile control of all 3 volume knobs and a master. You can basically create the headphone mix that you desire in real time while you're playing and not have to stop the show and ask for a little bit more kick or a little less guitar. It's just a nice, neat little solution that, as far as I'm aware, hasn't really been around in this sort of form factor before. Now, Xvive did send me this product free for review, but all of the opinions I expressed in this video are my own. And I made sure that they threw in a little something extra for you guys. But I'm gonna pass it over to Eli from a couple of weeks ago when this landed, and he'll tell you more about it. So Xvive were kind enough to send me this box, which arrived on my doorstep a couple of weeks ago and has been sitting in my studio just waiting to be opened. But I waited till I had a chance to do this on camera so we can check out what's inside together. There it is. The portable 3-channel personal mixer. Cool. Okay, we have a small warranty card, some stickers with a bunch of numbers on them, which is kind of cool, I guess, for numbering the channels. An ad for many of their products, and an instruction manual. Won't be needing that. Okay, now for the unit itself. This is our little mixer. Got a little dust on it. All right, the pots feel pretty nice. They've got some like resistance to them, which is definitely what you want. You don't want these sliding around too much, but you also don't want them so hard to move that you couldn't move them quickly in a pinch. And then here, I'm guessing this is the on and off pot. It's got like a click into off mode. And I guess this is maybe our overall master level. Yep. Headphone, battery / power over Ethernet switch. I'm assuming that to be. There's a little LED. Doesn't include batteries. Batteries not included. All right, Xvive. All right. As well as that, we have the RJ45 cable snake. Also a little dusty. I don't know if this one maybe sat in the factory floor for a minute or if it's just the cardboard packaging, but it's just like a fine layer of fuzz over everything. And this would be our input end. So this will have power and the 3 inputs themselves. And finally, just some XLR to 1/4-inch adapters. Sweet. Everything like feels pretty well built, to be honest. It doesn't feel cheap. I mean, this is made of plastic, this little connector here, but I don't really think that that needs to be super heavy duty made. That's probably just going to sit there and not move. The cables are nice and braided. The cannons feel okay. Not on like the mega premium end, but they don't feel bad. This is a nice long cable by the looks of it. Connectors feel all right. Again, nothing too crazy, but nothing super cheap. And the mixing module feels fairly light. It doesn't feel super heavy, which is good, I guess, because you've got to wear it as a belt pack or mount it to something. So you wouldn't want this to be mega heavy. It doesn't have batteries in it at the moment, but batteries don't weigh that much. So yeah, I'm interested to see how this goes. Now it's aimed so that if it's sitting on the belt pack and you look over, you can read this facing down. But if I'm looking at it this way to show you guys, this would be the input side. So it's going to sit that way. You can see the little belt strap clip is there. Cool. So obviously very cool of Xvive to send me this PX system to review, but it didn't stop there. When I told them that I wanted to give back to the awesome community of viewers who watch my videos, they were kind enough to send a second one. That's right, you guys can win your very own PX System 3-channel mixer. So stay tuned till later in the video. I'm going to explain how you can win your very own version of the PX system for nothing. How good's that? Setting up the PX system is super simple. You connect the 3 inputs from the PXB system to the outputs of your sound sources. The XLRs are labeled 1, 2, and 3 to match the knobs on the PXA unit, but you can also use the included balanced 1/4" adapters if your device needs a 1/4" connection. The included Cat5 cable connects the 2 devices, giving you 3 independent channels for just 1 tidy cable. The PXA system can be run on 2 AA batteries, but can also be run using a power supply on the PXB side, which sends power over Ethernet to the A unit. On the PXA unit, you have the 3 individual channels, a master volume knob, and a power switch to change from batteries to power over Ethernet. Inside the battery compartment, you have these little switches that allow you to determine the panning of the channels, left, right, or mono. Present Eli back again. Now I've been using the PX system around my studio for the last like 3 weeks or so, and I've really enjoyed it. I've used it from everything from like live streams, drum lessons that I teach online, here in the studio teaching one-on-one, monitoring different volume levels, doing recording sessions, band rehearsals. I've done a whole bunch of different configurations with it, and honestly, it's been pretty fantastic. I like the small form factor. I like that I can just kind of clip it on my belt and it's there if I need to change anything. But you can also use this clip to mount it onto anything else that it'll fit on. And in my case, I found a pretty good spot for it was actually on my stick bag. I found myself running different setups with this thing depending on the use case to kind of put it through its paces. When I was doing the online lessons, I was running my own drum mix on 1 channel, my student's Zoom call audio on another, and then like my own talkback mic on the 3rd, which was really great because depending on the call, maybe my drums were too loud in my ears, or maybe their call was too quiet, or you know, maybe our voices were different volumes in my ears so I could adjust my mic. And you know, these are like minor things, but they were kind of nice to have for someone who spent a fair few hours teaching online. For the band rehearsals and the recording sessions that I ran, I basically ran the first 2 lines as sort of like a stereo send with the right channel on one, left channel on the other, which was both my drums and the band all mixed together, or in the case of the recording sessions, my drums and the mix that I was playing to. And then I would put the click on the bottom one, which was really helpful to have, you know, a nice static mix there that sounded really good in my ears, and then I could blend the click to taste. That was quite helpful, and I think that that has a lot of applications for live. As far as sound quality, I was actually quite impressed with this thing. A lot of the cheaper mixes that you get, you actually find that they either don't have a whole lot of volume output, or there's not a lot of headroom before things start to distort. And especially in the low end, I find that there's a lot of distortion and clipping and kind of gross stuff that can go on. And this device, to my ear, didn't really have any of that. It's got plenty of volume, which is really nice. And it seemed to be pretty clear, pretty balanced. I didn't really hear anything that was like offensive or wrong sounding. So, you know, if you're looking for something that's just going to like pretty accurately replicate what you're putting through it, this is pretty solid. And the coolest thing for me that I think makes this a product that you should really consider is that it's not expensive. It retails for around about $179 here in Australia at the time of filming. And honestly, for a little like portable 3-channel mixer, it's nice and neat with that 1 Cat5 cable. You've got the option to run it on power supply or batteries. It can sort of function as a bit of a stereo mixer if you want. Like, I don't know, there's a lot you can do with this thing, and that's not a lot of money to pay for it. Now, I mentioned earlier that Xvive sent me a second system that you guys can win. So what do you have to do to get it? All you have to do is subscribe to the channel, hit the like button on this video, and leave a comment. The comment can be anything. It can be what you think of this video, what you think of the PX system, your funniest sound guy story, love that, or I don't know, just leave your favorite emoji. If you leave a comment, you go into the draw, I'll draw the winner at random, and I will post it in my channel feed, and I will also announce it in my next video in case you don't see it. That's it, that's all you gotta do, and you can win one of these for yourself. Pretty cool. Now, as much as I enjoy this product, it wouldn't be one of my reviews unless I had a few less than positive things to say about it. Now, these aren't game-breaking things, but they are some things that you should keep in mind, and maybe some things that Xvive could have a listen to, and if they ever do a version 2 of this product, maybe some things that they could throw around and see if they can implement in a V2. So my first thought on this is to do with the power. So I like that this thing can be run on batteries. However, I don't know how practical that is for a device like this. For me, using it around my studio, you know, I sit here in this room for 8-10 hours a day sometimes, teaching lessons, recording, you know, rehearsing with bands, whatever, right? I'm here for a long period of time. These batteries go flat. Now, Xvive do say that the batteries will last for like 5 hours. That's pretty great. But the only thing that you've got to tell you about that is this little LED in the top. Now, if you're wearing this thing on your back, you know, I mean, you've got to be constantly looking over to see if this little blue LED has changed to red anytime. That's fine, but I had this thing go flat on me like 4 or 5 times until I eventually went, you know what, I'm just gonna switch over to the power supply, plug the power supply into the PXB end and send power over Ethernet. Great, love that. Only problem is that Xvive don't include a power supply in the package. So you have to go buy one separately, which immediately makes this a more expensive product. But it's not the end of the world. Power supplies aren't that expensive to run, but I just feel like there's not a lot of point to the batteries in my mind for this, because if this was a wireless mixer or a wireless headphone pack, then that would make total sense. You know, you put batteries in it so that you're not like stuck to a cable somewhere, right? But this is a hardwired mixer. There's no reason to, you know, opt for portability, and batteries get expensive. If you're churning through batteries all the time, even rechargeable ones, that's gonna add up pretty quick. So it would have been nice if they included a power supply in the package. I just think that, you know, for an extra couple of bucks, I think most people would be pretty happy to have this all-in-one, fully encompassed thing. My second issue is to do with like the stereo nature of the PX. It kinda does stereo. I mean, it does, like you can have one channel in the left, one channel in the right. That's stereo, that's fine. But the problem is it's not really very usable. It's a little awkward in the sense that, you know, we're not dealing with, you know, one stereo input where I turn that volume knob and my left and my right go up equally. The left and the right are on different volume pots. So if I want to change that volume, especially if I want to do it on the fly while it's mounted on my back, I gotta figure out where this is and get that one to the same. I gotta move 2 knobs. See what I'm saying? It's just not very conducive to actually being able to be used like that on the fly. As well as that, we're now eating up 2 of our only 3 available channels. And you know, to me, we've kind of just like boxed ourselves in and kind of painted ourselves into a corner here, which is a bit of a shame. Now, obviously this is a small and affordable unit. We're gonna have some limitations. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh, it doesn't have 8 channels. Oh no, I can't do all the things that I want. That's not what this device is about. However, I would love if we could maybe on a second version of this get like a switchable input. So maybe just one of the channels has the capacity to take like a stereo 1/4-inch connector or something that we can have a left and right send, and all of a sudden like there's our lovely stereo mix, and then you could have your click here and maybe a vocal mic or whatever else. You know, you're sort of turning it into like a 4 or 3.5 channel mixer in the sense that you've just got that one stereo channel on that one knob. It's much more usable. You can actually take advantage of that nice stereo spread, and it's just easier to work around. So yeah, I mean, obviously it's a pretty like silly thing to say about the 3-channel mixer. I wish it had a 4th channel, but I wish it had a 4th channel. My third and final gripe with this system, and it is the thing that drove me the most insane, is to do with the location of the power supply switch. The power supply switch is located here on top, right next to the master volume pot. Now, if you're like me and you maybe want to change the volume of the overall headphone mix that you're getting, not just the individual mix, but the overall volume. Say you're playing a louder song and all of a sudden your mix isn't quite keeping up, you just go in there and just give it a little twist and turn it up. Or maybe you're playing a quiet song and you want to turn it down. The problem is that if you've got stupid fat drum fingers like I do, you're going to hit this switch all the time. And as I quickly found out, unless you have both freshly charged batteries and also the power supply plugged in, and you've got power coming from both potential places, you bump that switch, you're turning this sucker off. If you don't have batteries in and you're running the power supply and you flick it onto battery mode, it's dead. If you have batteries in, but you don't have the power supply in and you flick it onto power supply mode, it's dead. I cannot stress how many times I did this. It drove me crazy. Now, maybe I'm just a little too chaotic and I just grab things and I twist them, but I think that that is a bit of a design flaw. It is literally right next to it. I think maybe if they put the LED next to the master volume switch and then put the switch down in the bottom corner, or just get it further away from that volume knob, it wouldn't have been such an issue at all. But honestly, that's about it as far as the negatives. I don't really have that much to say about this that isn't positive. So unless those things are game breaking for you, I think honestly at the price point that this thing is at, it's great. So is this product for you? Well, I can see a huge use case for this, not just for drummers, but for all musicians who are stationary, or even for like maybe a function band, a wedding band where no one's really moving around, just sort of there to do a job. And you know, this would be a really, really great addition to any sort of working band that has to supply their own PA and they just want to have a little bit more control over monitoring. Maybe they're running click tracks and samples and stuff. This is just going to give you a little bit more flexibility. So I think that that's a really good option for this. But I think the perfect little niche use for this is for sort of those up and coming bands that are trying to like take their performance and their show and their production just up that little level, and they want to get maybe their drummer playing to a click track so that they can use backing tracks and samples, and they don't want to invest thousands of dollars in a full-blown Idiot rig. And I can understand that, because not only is that a very expensive thing, it also requires a lot of technical know-how to put that together in a way that it's going to function and, you know, be like okay enough at every aspect of what's going on under the hood of that device that if anything goes wrong on a show, you can quickly troubleshoot it. That's a pretty daunting prospect for people. I take some of my students through the act of, you know, putting together a monitoring system from time to time, and often I just see their eyes glaze over when we get talking about the nitty-gritty of those things. It's a lot, whereas this device is kind of simple in that you just take a line from the sound guy. You plug in a line for a click. You put, maybe if you're a singing drummer, you can put a vocal mic through it. You know, like there's lots of options that you can do with this, and it's kind of idiot proof. So what do you guys think? Do you think that this is the sort of product that can solve some issues for us drummers? I can see how it might. Thanks so much to Xvive for sending this in the first place. And also don't forget that you can win one of these PX systems for your own. All you have to do is subscribe to this channel, like the video, and leave any comment that you want down below. Try and make me laugh. That would be really great. But I will draw that winner at random. I will post about it on my YouTube channel feed and probably over on my Instagram as well. And I'll also announce it in the next video in case we missed it. Also, be sure to check out my Patreon page. We have an amazing, ever-growing community of supporters over there who do a lot to support this channel and allow these videos to be made in the first place. By signing up, you not only get access to some extended content, but also all of the drum samples that I take when I do my various tone deep dives or any other time that I've just recorded some cool shit and I want you guys to have it. If that sounds good to you, it'd mean a lot if you would subscribe and support the channel. Otherwise, I will see you on the next one.